Welcome! My name is Kelly Anderson, and this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. We are nearing the end of our September celebration, but there's still time to join our live stream party on September 23rd at 7 p.m. Central on the Fanimated YouTube channel. I'll be chatting with most of our frequent guests and just geeking out about animation. We really hope to see you there. Today, however, everyone on the Fanimated crew over at patreon.com/Fanimated have voted for the Netflix original series Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts. Based on the comic by Radford Sechrist, Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts has been praised for its fresh soundtrack, unique art style, and its broadly diverse cast. Brynn, Berryhill, and I absolutely love this show and are so looking forward to season 3 coming in just a few weeks. So be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube so you won't miss when we live stream and watch the new season together. Now, spoiler warning for the first 2 seasons of Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts, and let's get started and let's get animated. Brynn, are you ready to talk about Kipo?
Oh my gosh. I've been ready to talk about Kipo since I saw episode 1. So, oh my gosh.
Oh, yes. That's
Not
brilliant.
only is it everything, the music's also banging, and I just can't handle it.
The music is amazing. It's
Oh my
so
gosh.
good.
And
It's so
the thing
good.
is, it's so unique to Kipo at this point, which is a tragedy. Like, it's a travesty that it took this long to have a mainstream kind of comic cartoon show with this kind of music in it, like hip hop meets sometimes rap meets sometimes
indie,
indie electronica. And if there is another show that does that consistently, like especially in its background music and stuff, let us know.
yeah.
But
I want to know about it.
Yeah, I do, because I can't think of any.
Except for like Spider-Verse as a film has a lot of rap, hip hop.
As a
soundtrack.
film, and they were thinking about making Kipo a film, but I'm glad that they made it a series instead.
Oh yeah, you can delve so much deeper into things when it's a series. And even then, like Kipo is so fast paced. Like it is I mean, they're booking it through this story, and I'm like, I would never want it to be as short as a film. Goodness no.
Me too. Yeah, exactly. And I respect it so much.
Yes.
But you're right. Into the Spider-Verse is kind of the same vibe as Kipo. And gosh, wouldn't you know it? Both of our protagonists in those shows are mixed.
Yes, they are.
Kipo is Blasian.
Yep.
So she's mixed Asian and Black, and then Miles Morales is mixed Black and Latinx.
Yeah.
So like, wonder if we could get more good representation for more awesome music. Maybe there's a trade-off here where we get awesome and we all get awesome and it's great.
Yes. Oh, yes. We need more content like those shows. So obviously, we're just diving into it here this episode.
Just like Kipo, no time.
No time to waste. Just going for it. Let's just dive into what Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts is. For those who don't know, spoiler warning, as always, we'll be talking about the first 2 seasons of Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts.
Third season's coming out soon.
I was just about to say, you might be a time traveler listening to this in the future. And even in the near future, the next season has already arrived because it arrives next month.
So excited.
So for those who don't know, Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts is a Dreamworks Netflix series, animated series, animation produced by Studio Mir, which, by the way, I should say last episode, we talked about The Legend of Korra, also by Studio Mir, and I mispronounced Studio Mir the entire time.
How'd you pronounce it?
Studio Mir. So this is my apology to Studio Mir, and I'm going to say Studio Mir the correct way this time.
You know, you could just create a soundbite of mirror and then put it in every time you said Mir.
That's true. I could go back and edit.
So when Studio Mir did this thing...
Oh my goodness. It would be great. It would be great. Well,
It'd be really funny.
Everyone listening to this has to go listen to the Legend of Korra episode now to see if I did that or not. You won't know until you go listen.
You just don't know.
So, anyways, Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts follows a gang of teens in a post-apocalyptic world in which animals have mutated so much that most of them are sentient and can talk, and they're all levels of crazy, and some are giant mega bunnies, and some are, frogs with suits. So it really varies a lot, and it's this wild, wacky world. The humans in this world have gone underground and lived in what they call burrows for the last 200 years, and Kipo is a young girl living in one of those burrows when it gets basically destroyed by one of these mega mutes, is what they call the animals, mutes. And she finds herself in this world of the surface. She runs into a wolf, and they collect some other crazy characters in their little family, which we'll talk about here shortly. And they're on a mission to find her dad and subsequently save the world, as always.
Yeah, as always. I will say about the word mute, I'm impressed by them finding a new nickname for mutant.
Yes.
And that, mutants been around for a long time, and calling them mutes is really clever, I think.
Agreed. I
was going to say, okay, so Kipo is a really upbeat, she's kind of like Glimmer in a lot of ways, and she's voiced by Glimmer. I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of crossover for, personality as well. But then Wolf is this we're assuming 12-year-old, because I'm going to say 12-year-old.
11. Wolf is 11.
Thank you.
And Kipo is 13, and Benson is 16.
So, 11-year-old, short, dark-haired, dark-skinned, dark-eyed girl who wields a poisonous staff, staff with a poisonous scorpion tail in the end. And I'm listening to Night Vale with my partner, and we have decided that Wolf is Tamika Flynn, who is a 12-year-old, 5'1", dark-haired, dark-eyed, warrior child who leads the children into hardened battle against the librarians and has a librarian's hand around her neck. It is Wolf, full stop, that is my headcanon.
I don't know anything about Night Vale, but you just saying warrior child, that's enough to convince me. So Kipo came out this year, if you can believe it. January of 2020 is when the first season aired. I honestly feel like that was 6 years ago.
Because it was almost 6 years ago. It was actually 12. But I can understand the miscounting because time doesn't exist anymore in this world.
Time doesn't exist. It's a made-up construct.
It really is.
It really, truly is. And then season 2 aired in June. I will say that I watched all of season 1, and then I didn't watch season 2 until now. The patrons, by the way, voted for this topic, Kipo and the Age of Wonderbeasts. So thank you to the patrons on Patreon who voted for this episode topic and forcing me to finally watch the second season because, wow, it's amazing.
Isn't it, though?
The 2 seasons as a whole, I like both of them, but, I mean, season 2 is better, and I hope that season 3 is even more fantastic.
I think that's a pretty standard thing in animation. I feel like every time we talk about animation, we're like, oh, season 1 was all right, but season 2, it just keeps going up from there.
Right.
I also think that they have very distinct flavors in that season 1 was Kipo gaining friends and encountering the mutes and then winning them over, or giving them a chance, and then different things like that. And then Season 2 was her interacting with those relationships that she had built, and how the other mutes reacted to that, because Kipo's pretty unwaveringly the same. She doesn't really change that much except for her own personal growth in becoming a mega jaguar. Like, otherwise, she always gives them a chance. She always finds a way to be relentlessly bright and relentlessly loving and relentlessly, like, forgiving. And so I think it's interesting to see more of the interactions of the mutes around her and the people around her, as she is a stagnant character or a base character, and everyone else around her acts differently.
Yes, and here's the thing. It just reminded me of when Nathan and I talked about My Hero Academia, and I forget the term he used, but Deku is similar. Yeah, where you get that stagnant character and hero character, and everyone around that character are the ones changing, and you have that base character. And I would agree, yeah, because Kipo, I mean, she definitely learns more about the world, but she's always optimistic. She is always reaching out and helping people. Like, even as she learns more about the surface, it doesn't stop her one iota from just becoming friends with literally everybody.
Yeah. And it like, she does make decisions, so she has agency, and she does problem solve and things like that. But in terms of personal growth in a very social way, like social emotional growth, she's pretty much the same, except for in season 2 when she goes on her own journey, which I really appreciated, and it was a fresh breath of fresh air because Kipo's changing and working through inner demons.
Yes, let's go through the characters. So that was Kipo, our main girl, Burrow girl, as we should call her. And let's just jump to Benson. I agree. Benson is so amazing. Tell me what you love about him.
I'm gay.
That's it.
Okay, that's
episode
not
6.
It, okay,
No.
but I think that was the real turning point in, like, realizing that Kipo was different. Because I have been watching more and more queer stuff come out, and this was sooner rather than later. It was just, like, right there, and it was like, oh, okay, cool. This is also directly after I finally finished Korra, and I was like, I thought they were supposed to be more gay than this.
But Korra was, even though it was 2014, Korra was so long ago they could barely do anything. Like, and now it's like, oh, Benson is just saying I am gay, like, out loud, and that's not the only thing about him. Like, it's just a thing. It's just part of. It's like, he's black. He's a boy. He loves rap music. Oh, by the way, he also is gay. Like, that's just
okay. So maybe I came off wrong about that, but it was a really important thing.
I mean, it's one of the most important things culturally about this show, and I have a lot to say about it. And we'll talk more about the diversity in general of this show. But, like, the fact that Benson says I am gay is huge, and, like, is a huge step in that representation for LGBTQ+. So let me just tell you a little story about that. I listened to a really fantastic interview with Radford Sechrist, the creator and writer, and Bill Wolkoff, who helped develop the show for television. And this interview, by the way, was on Overly Animated. They have several shows talking about different animated television series, so I definitely recommend them. And thank you to them for interviewing these two great creatives. And when they asked about the fact that Benson says he is gay, and interestingly enough, and I didn't mention this before, but Kipo is based off of a webcomic by Rad, and in it, Benson was always going to be gay, and his Sechrist's goal was to make a very superhero type character, and then just also add in the fact, oh, he's gay, because he wanted to have a portrayal of someone who is gay like in this way that like people that maybe
It's just a thing.
Yeah, that's just a thing. It's just a part of him, and showing that these characters aren't what some people like stereotype it as. And so Benson has changed a lot since the comic, but when they were, pitching the show and talking about it with Peter Gall, I want to say this is how to pronounce that last name, Chief Creative Officer at Dreamworks, who is also gay. When he accepted the show, he said, okay, yes, I love that Benson is gay, but you have to have him say it. And so it's really, really like, obviously, Sechrist, had the vision for who Benson was, and Peter Gall was like, okay, great, let's make this happen, because for him and for a lot of people, LGBTQ plus people, like this was really important, and like I said, is another step. And so this scene in episode 6 where that he said that they wanted to make it, they didn't want to have to like force it or anything. It's natural. It's a natural part of the show, and it's like Kipo is in this place where she's turning 13 and she starts to develop some feelings, but like and then Benson is just like, I don't feel that way about you because I'm gay. And it's so natural and it's so normal, and it's really great.
And Kipo's not weird about it. She's just like, oh, cool. And I think that this world is very much like the She-Ra world. In fact, I found a lot of similarities between this and She-Ra, but both in the She-Ra world and this one, gay, there's no stigma around being gay. When he meets his little lover boy's father, oh my God. The father is not fazed. Kipo's not fazed. Nobody's fazed by people being gay in this world. And I really appreciate that. If you make a fantasy world, you make it, and it seems to be pretty consistent because it even happened in Dragon Prince, I want to say. Did Dragon Prince have a gay couple or a gay leaning couple?
They had gay queens, actually.
Yeah, that was it. Yes. It wasn't questioned.
No.
So this isn't just a phenomenon that's happening in DreamWorks. This is a phenomenon that's happening in animation, which is really awesome. I really appreciated that, but also like the fact that it caught you off guard, because you were saying that he has a personality outside of being gay. The reason why this stuck out to me is because I couldn't tell, which you can't. There isn't just gay man. And if you were in a sitcom in the 90s, of course you could tell that someone was gay because of the way they talked and because they didn't say it.
Right.
But with Benson, he's already a fully fleshed out character with a healthy-ish relationship with this bug creature, with Dave, who is, I think it's really cool how Benson grows and Dave has to catch up. Even though Dave is however many years old, lifetimes old, Benson is the one who grows up, and then Dave has to follow with his morality. Because he's like, we're superheroes now. We can't just do nothing. We can't run away. We have to go help. And Dave's like, but what if we didn't?
Yeah. And we'll talk more about Dave here in a minute. I have so much to say about Benson. But yeah, Benson he honestly is one of it's interesting, but I think he is one of the more mature ones of the group, not only because he's the oldest, because I would argue that yes, Wolf is one of the most mature as well, but I think Benson is more balanced. Like Wolf is not balanced, and she has, I feel like, more growth that needs to happen, where Benson, I feel like, is a little more established. And I want to say about Benson too, in this interview with the creators, Sechrist was heavily inspired by his friend Isaiah for Benson, and basically like the way he looks, the way he acts is all like Isaiah. So
that's awesome.
I thought that was cool. And he was saying that when he's writing, characters, he's almost always using specific people or other characters as inspirations. So you have like someone easily to like connect to in that way, which I thought was really cool. So Benson is great. We all love Benson.
We all love Benson.
We all love Benson.
And his love like the sha-la-la-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la, ooh, moments when he locks eyes with other kid and just loses all composure whatsoever is adorable.
Troy and Benson, man, that's where it's at. So let's talk about Benson's best friend and companion, Dave, who we mentioned. Dave is a bug. Well, he's a mute bug. And basically, the most wonderful thing about him is that he constantly molts and sheds and like cycles through the circle of life, basically. So one minute he's a baby and the next minute he's like an old man. So he's like cycles through these different, skins, basically. Especially when he gets excited or scared, like he'll just like pop.
It's really funny.
It's hilarious. And there's only, out of these several different forms, there's only one that's like really useful, like where he becomes this super, like at his prime, like muscular giant wings, and then he can fly and everything, but that's it, because all the other forms he's usually just this walking bug with some antennae and stuff.
Depending, if he's a larva, he doesn't walk at all.
Yeah, and Benson has to carry him around. Like, I don't know how Dave survived as long as he did before Benson was around.
Right, that. Benson is such a good caretaker too. Like, he's just like, he goes with the flow, and he treats Dave where he's at.
Yeah.
So if it's baby Dave, he'll be all kind of like cuddly and everything, and if he's teenager Dave, he's like, okay, whatever, buddy.
Yes.
It's really good. What I noticed about Dave, which I think is funny, he couldn't control his sheds, his metamorphosi or whatever, until second season, right? How many years was he alive and he made zero character growth? Or not character growth, but like, not character growth. He made zero growth in controlling his abilities. He didn't have a reason to control them before. And all of a sudden, because he's with this group,
yeah,
he suddenly he has a reason to control them, and he's suddenly learning how to control them after years of uncontrolled, metamorphosizing or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just goes to show that like you become more of who you hang out with or whatever, like it really makes a difference, I'd say. I don't know if that was like that probably wasn't like a forethought in the creator's mind, but it's true.
I mean, kind of, because he and Benson and Dave were bopping around together for a while before they hung out with Kipo and Wolf. And as soon as they were hanging out with Kipo and Wolf, not as soon as, but later, Benson's like, hey, we need to do the right thing. We don't run away anymore. And then Dave's like, fine. And then they both start to grow in that way. So I think to an extent it is about who you hung out with, because they wouldn't have done that before.
I mean, it's all about this little family, and it's really about their relationships, and they help each other, and they grow together, and it's so beautiful and perfect. And Dave is just like the weird uncle of the group, honestly. He is like, he's the mix of like super chill, but usually super scared of everything. I think he's the most scared out of all of them, except Mundo, what the pig? How do you pronounce it?
Even Mundo, isn't it Mundo? Even he's got some spunk when it comes to like standing up to people who are messing around with Kipo.
Yes, very protective of Kipo. And Dave is a little more of a scaredy cat.
Mondu,
thank you. I was like, yep, that's it. That's how you pronounce Mondu.
Yep. And
so yeah, that's Dave. Speaking of Mondu, because apparently we're saving best for last. Mondu is their mute pig who follows them around. And this is an unusual part of the world, is that some mutes do talk and some do not. So Mondu is a pig that doesn't talk, but still has like 4 eyes and 6 legs and stuff. So Mondu is cute and adorable. And at first, of course, Wolf is not a fan, but grows to love
dinner.
him. dinner. Yeah, exactly. There's really not much to say about Mandu except that he's adorable and surprisingly helpful. And last but certainly not least, Wolf.
Oh, Wolf.
Wolf is a little spunky 11-year-old girl.
Fierce,
Absolute. I mean, she is there to survive. She's been through crap. Her backstory is crazy and crazy sad. She's raised by wolves in this family, and then they turn on her and are like, we actually are kind of raising you to like teach our children how to hunt and kill humans.
Yeah.
And so she runs away. She kicks butt and then runs away, and then survives alone.
And then has attachment issues.
And then has lots of issues. And also hates mutes with a burning passion because...
I wonder why.
Yeah, so she carries, like you said, that staff around, and she is very cautious. She, Kipo is running in.
They're yin and yang.
And Wolf is has to go save Kipo, but also doesn't have, the view of the world that Kipo has, because Kipo is really able to connect with all of these mutes and all of these different types of characters, types of mutes, she's really teaching Wolf that not all mutes are bad.
So watch as I bring this back to our Nausicaa and Mononoke argument. Not argument. Discussion.
It's not a
conversation. It's fine. No, but I would say that Kipo was raised in a more privileged spot than Wolf was, and it shows in that Kipo has learned about the goodness of people, and Wolf has not.
Yes.
So, I definitely can't fault Wolf for. I can definitely understand Wolf in her cautiousness. And when you've been hurt that bad, I know a lot of season 1 and some of season 2 is Wolf being like, I don't trust mutes, and you lied to me, and I'm afraid that you're going to hurt me, and you did hurt me because you lied to me, and things like that. I can definitely understand that. She has been through the closest relationship that she had turned around and hunted to kill her.
Yeah.
And so I think that Wolf was waiting for Kipo to do something to hurt her so that she could leave and protect herself again, because being around somebody being around someone who you still like and who you still are in relationship with is a more dangerous and exposed position than being away from them.
Wow. Yeah. Wolf, waiting for the excuse to leave. And that never happened because Kipo is amazing.
Well, it did, because Kipo kept her mutation from Wolf, and Wolf took it and ran, planning never to be found again. Because when you've experienced trauma like that, you're just waiting. You're always poised for the next bad thing to happen. And so I can definitely see those trauma responses from Wolf in just waiting to leave, waiting for somebody to hurt her, Yeah. Yeah.
And all the characters have changed so much between seasons, but Wolf especially. Except Kipo. Kipo does not change.
Kipo changed at the end of season, halfway through season 2, they were like, oh, we should probably give her some emotional growth, shouldn't we? Oh yeah, maybe. We could make her mute hard to get through, and so she has to learn how to do breathe in, breathe out. Oh yeah, that's a great thing. Let's just throw that in there mid-season. Yeah. Good work, team.
Which, by the way, regardless of how late it was really good.
It was.
I was texting you about my season 2 watch, and that moment especially, you had mentioned, it's anger management, how to deal with just being able to, I don't want to say control your emotions, but manage them. That's the word, manage.
Well, and what it is when you are in the red zone, when you have literally flipped your lid because the top part of your brain is out of control. I'm struggling for the proper terms for it, but the part of your brain that controls your rational thought is taken over by the fight or flight instinct part of your brain. And that's where we get our behavior management issues. That's where we get a lot of our like fear responses and trauma responses. Yay! And so when Kipo is doing the breathe in, breathe out, she's actually getting more oxygen into her system, and she's telling her body that it is safe to relax now.
Yes.
And that is helping her to regain the ability to have that rational thought again. A lot of what people don't understand is when somebody who has emotional behavioral issues is that this is their brain taking over, and the only way to stop it is to learn before it happens how to respond to it. And so for Kipo, I think it's beautiful because this response of fight or flight is necessary for life. The reason that we have it is because, you know, if you're fleeing or you're fighting and you're keeping yourself safe, it is a necessary thing, right? To be able to act immediately. And we need to thank our body for that because it keeps a lot of us safe sometimes, especially if you've been in a lot of danger like Kipo is starting to be exposed to. But also we need to know that is a natural thing, but also that it's okay to come back and it's safe to come back. And those techniques are how you would teach somebody whose brain constantly flips into fight or flight to come back. That's what we teach our students. That's what we teach people who are going through traumatic experiences. That's what you teach people who are going through anxiety. And so Kipo going into Mega Jaguar is good. It is necessary, and she thanks her body. She doesn't, but like, thank you for doing what I needed you to do. I'm okay now. And then she comes back into Kipo form.
Yes. So clearly, Kipo is full of great representation, both with mental health and also LGBTQ with Benson. So let's talk about the other ways this show is spectacularly full of great representation, including 3 main characters who are POC.
Yes! Yes!
As we mentioned, Kipo is a mix of Black and Korean. Benson is Black. We've got Wolf is Black, and
Wolf is black skinned. We know. We don't know necessarily where she's from, but yes.
And we also have Kipo's father is Black, and that was a big thing that I listened to in that interview with the creators. They were trying, and this is really great too, they were trying to get as many females and as many people of color in their creative team as possible, and they had one of their creative team going, hey, because originally Kipo's father was also going to be Korean, and they had someone who was like, no, we need a Black father represented well, and that's what we got right here.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much.
And it's like, thank you so much, because Sechrist and Wolkoff both are white, and so here are these 2 white guys making this show saying, we're gonna make this about Black people. We need some POC people on our creative team, and they did that and opened the doors for those people, and like, how fantastic, right?
Yes. I recently asked my Facebook, hey, people of color, my POC friends, how do I draw people of color without falling into the usual tropes? Like, teach me what to do, because I'm sick of seeing white people on the screen. I'm sick of seeing white people all over, so I want to draw some POC.
Yeah.
And I got a laundry list of things not to do or to do. So I actually had a request from one of my friends who is Asian, and she's married to a black man and they have a beautiful Blasian baby. And she's like, can we have a Blasian couple, please? Because our babies are cute. And then stop giving black characters lightning powers. Don't give the Asian girl a color streak anymore. Like all of these things that I never would have known as a white passing artist that my POC friends are keenly aware of.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to bring POC onto, you know, the representation that you want to bring in. You need to have them with you.
Yes, you need those creators, you know, those voices to be able to have it shine through correctly. Like, you have people on the team who can help guide that and guide those characters. Sechrist also said in that interview that the inspiration for making them all POC main characters here is that you know, he was, you know, at a skate park and he's only white person talking with his friend who's black, and like he was like, you know, people around here, like, they don't know white people. Like, these kids don't know white people. And so he was like, and got to thinking, like, man, that must be really weird, like, not seeing that representation on screen, like, when that's their whole life. And so here we go. You have a whole mind blown. Yeah, who would have thought that you know, you don't have a representation that you seen in your real life. So it's just, I mean, this show is just making all kinds of moves in representation, which leads into the final aspect I want to talk about with representation, and that is the female representation. Because
it's so good.
The big thing they also said in this interview was that, you know, at one point, Rad was like, you know, just, you know, the normal guy, creative, making all of his backgrounds full of men. And then, and I cannot remember the name of this artist, but came into the studio. He was working with Dreamworks at the time too. How to Train Your Dragon 2, I think, actually. And this gal comes in and is, you know, giving them like some insights into making female representation. She's like, this world is half female, but if you go back and look at your boards, I bet they're all full of men. And so, oh my goodness. And so he's like, yeah, if you're not aware of it, you're just going to default. And so he became aware. And so now we've got these two really fantastic female characters in this show, like main characters, you know, which is absolutely fantastic. You know, you see trios, you see, you know, quartets of characters, and there's one girl, there's the one token girl, and it's
Hermione.
Great example. And here we have two very distinct, very unique female characters also, and just another example of a show that is for both boys and girls. Like, it's, you know, geared towards, you know, boys probably, and it's a female lead. So we, you know, I just keep it going, keep it coming.
100%. It makes me think two things. One, any stick figure, unless it has a dress, is assumed to be a boy.
Yeah.
Any androgynous figure is assumed to be a man. I'm a part of Fearless Comedy Productions, and we are a comedy production company. And we were coming up with a new logo, or the higher up people were thinking of the logo, and they were really coming up against a wall because they wanted the logo to have a female on it, but they needed it to be something that was like simple, clean, and a logo. And it's of a woman jumping off the word fearless, like it's a cliff.
I love that.
Because fearless, but they realized that they had to give her a ponytail. It was absolutely necessary to give her a ponytail, or else it would have been assumed that it was a man.
Yeah.
Even though we have lots of non-binary people in Fearless, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It will always be assumed a man. Also, animate objects like dogs, cats, babies, whatever, they're almost always assumed male. And inanimate objects, ships, houses, cars, other things are usually assumed female.
Just dropping truths left and right, Brynn.
But like I'm just saying.
It's true.
It is, and it hurts because it still happens.
It still is, and it's true. It's and the way they draw their female characters isn't big boobs
so
and eyelashes. Like
it's so good.
It's great.
It's so good. Personally, I would rather see some more different body types. And curvier body types. But honestly, if you have a bunch of people running around topside who are likely starving half the time, I'm not gonna fault you on your body type stuff. But that is something to work on.
Always.
No, but Wolf is so I am gonna fault you technically, but Wolf is such a fierce character that if you didn't give her a pronoun, guess what she would be assumed as?
Male.
Look at Wolf's character design, and I think that that's super important to give them credit for, because having mask females is a thing, right?
Yeah.
You have girls have every different body type and style and personality, and Wolf is the hardest raging bad, I can't say that word, mother, I can't say that word either, in this entire series.
Yes.
And it's a she, and she's a she. She is a she, and she, good. Just having female pronouns does not change her character, but it changes everything else about it. You know?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
They didn't make her feminine. They didn't make her need to have an inner girly side, which is oftentimes how they portray mask females, is like, oh, well, if you're a tomboy, let's do the makeover episode and you'll find your inner woman.
No.
They haven't done that. They didn't make her girly at all. And they didn't make her, like, boyishness a mistake, which is huge for girls who identify as, like, we even call them tomboys, right?
Right. They're not. They're not boys. They can if they want to be. They can. They can if
they want.
Be whoever you want to be. Whoever you are is who you are. You know.
Yes, exactly. And it's just so beautiful.
Gender.
I love it.
And our construct of gender and our assumptions about gender.
I actually wanted to go back to characters. Can we?
Of course.
Scarlemagne. Can we talk about Scarlemagne?
Of course, yes, we can talk about Scarlemagne. Please tell me all about Scarlemagne.
Okay, so for Scarlemagne, I really appreciated that they gave him a chance. They tried, and he failed to grasp it.
Yeah, he really did.
So he never got his redemption in the end, but he almost had a redemption arc. Like, he was so close, and I don't know how honest he was being, and he was like, but I got you a gift. Like, I feel like it was teetering on the honest of, like, I gave you something, and then he went overboard. I'm not sure. And there's
still a lot to learn about Scarlemagne, I feel.
Yeah. He might still get a redemption arc, but
for all we know,
they didn't do it here. They didn't do it on the first shot. They didn't do it on the first try, which I appreciated. Not because I want to see Scarlemagne get what's coming to him or anything, but because I think it's good storytelling. And
at least they're trying. And this leads me into my next question for you, Brynn, is season 3. Season 3 is coming. And what are your predictions or greatest hopes for season 3 of Kipo? I am so sad that the scientist got a hold of the humans. Amelia. I'm so sad that she got a hold of the humans before they got to, like, talk to them. Yeah, and really it's just a matter of now we have this new villain in Dr. Amelia, and I was a little sad when we saw Scarlemagne go as the villain and Dr. Amelia becoming the bigger villain behind the scenes of Kipo's story. Because personally, I thought Scarlemagne, I was so, season 1 was so like, Scarlemagne is so frightening because I was so confused, and there's so many unknowns, and he's so crazy, he's just totally crazy. And then Dr. Amelia is like this very, very, thoughtful. She's planning things out, manipulative, and she has this, they both had dangerous visions for the future. And Dr. Amelia as the villain, I don't know, maybe it's just I like eccentric villains, I suppose.
Dr. Amelia is more competent and therefore scarier for me. There are 2 ways to progress in a story: to raise the stakes or to change the stakes. And in Kipo, they raise the stakes from first season to second season and then change the stakes from second to third.
That's it. That's exactly it. And we're in just a completely new territory. I mean, Kipo can turn into a jaguar now, fully, and her extra special jaguar mega form of all the tails and all that. Very cool, very cool. I mean, she's got her whole family back together, which, by the way, side note, if we're counting on our list of mothers who are not in the main protagonist's childhood, here's another one for you. I will fight against that forever, because it's so common. There's not a mom, or the mom left, or the mom is missing, and then they go find the mom. Yes, parents in general, but it's always the mom. There's always something about the mom. It's guys, can we not just have supportive mother characters in these characters' lives, please? Please? Yep. What did your mother ever do to you?
Oh, that's sad. Yeah. No, but I think it creates just enough strife in a character's background that you can create a lot of characteristics from it. I don't know. I agree with you.
It's just a way of being oh, poor Kipo, poor.
But also,
whoever.
She was raised by a single black dad.
Mm-hmm. Which is great. Yeah, no, I agree.
Which is, if it had to be a single parent, making it the single black dad is my choice.
I still think a single Korean mother would have been great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But like you said about having a black father, they were talking about having he had to be a black dad because we need a positive black dad.
No,
figure.
I agree. I'm always gonna point it out when there's a mother character who's going through this stuff. It's you can have your mother in the story, okay? The mom can be there and be.
Maybe they couldn't find any moms to be on the team with them, and so they wouldn't have known how to write her. I don't know.
I hope they can be more creative than that. Anyway, I just side tangent and had to mention that. But either way, a lot of things are changed now, and yeah, the family's all together. Dr. Amelia is on the rise. We've got all this crazy stuff going on. Will they be able to, save Kipo's mom from her continued monkey form? Who knows?
I have a question for you. Do you think that Dr. Amelia would mess with the genetics of the humans in order to take down the mutes and make them mixed mutes like Kipo and her mom?
Here's what I think. That's a good question. Personally, I think that Dr. Amelia has very clearly been categorized as no mutes, no side mutes, no half mutes, nothing. She's very avidly against that. Very, but from a writing standpoint, it would be a common thing to do for her to kind of go a little bit insane and cause everyone to have the mute thing, and then in order to get what she wants or whatever. I really hope they don't do that, just because it feels like it feels predictable. Like let's keep to our character sheets, please. But like, I just feel like that would be. It's just it feels like a cheap way to raise the stakes and to make it crazier is to make everyone a half mute because she's gone crazy. Like, I want her to be cold, calculated, and fully devoted to her vision.
I think that would be a stronger choice. But it raises the question, like, what happens? You know?
Absolutely. We'll see. We will see. We will see.
We will see. I'm so excited.
We will see. So let's talk about the animation a little bit. This is an animation podcast. So,
oh, I suppose.
Well, as I had mentioned previously, this show was animated by Studio Mir. They are a Korean studio.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they are Korean, and I should mention this because I think I've mentioned it before, but it could use repeating in case some people haven't listened to all of the Fanimated episodes.
I can't imagine.
But most television, especially in the U.S., animated series are not animated in the U.S. Almost all of them are animated overseas, quite often in Korea because it is the cheaper option. Historically, it used to be Japan, but then Japan realized that their animation was actually valued in the international market and raised prices.
Yes.
So now it's more Korean studios that do a lot of the animation for you know, the Dreamworks, the Disneys, the Cartoon Network shows. You know, name any you know, Western animation studio that's quite often working overseas to produce the animation because it's just too expensive to do it yourself. Quite often reserved for feature films only. But quite usually boarded, written, directed, designed in Hollywood, and then sent over to another studio. So Studio Mir, like I mentioned, has also animated for The Legend of Korra, Voltron, Legendary Defender. Clearly has a great history animating, and but also again in this overly animated interview, the creators were talking about how when they went to visit Studio Mir, they had told the creators that they were very excited for this art style and the animation, like the artistic style of this show is Radford Sechrist, like very angular, like very.
I love it.
Very fun.
You don't see it very often.
So
you
great.
usually see either like mid-range between curve and edge, or just curves.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the only ones I can really think of that like dives headlong into the curves.
Yes, absolutely.
Or no, not curves. Sorry, headlong into the angles and doesn't go back.
No going back. It is fantastic. And so Studio Mir was very excited to produce this very specific style, and not all studios would have said yes to that. You know, they might have changed the style to fit something that's more easily animatable, because you look at like a turnaround for Kipo or something, or like how they are able to animate and make things clear but also still angular. Like
it's very different.
It's so different, and it's very, just like with everything in the show, it's just very fresh and very unique. It's very clearly Kipo. It's the world of Kipo. So Studio Mir does a great job as always. As I mentioned, I want to say a few things about the webcomic. Sechrist had started the comic thinking about it when he was working on How to Train Your Dragon 2. Then he was working on Boss Baby and was like, actually, I'd rather just work on the comic. So he ended up doing kind of like halftime.
Actually, I'd rather not make this movie.
Oh, no. Hey, listen. Wait, have you seen Boss Baby?
No.
You can't talk, girl. You have to watch it first and then diss on it, because you know what? It's better than you think.
Fine.
That's my hot take.
Uh-huh.
Is it the best movie in the world? No. But is it the worst movie? No.
No, there's Birdemic for that. Have you seen Birdemic?
No.
Oh, there's an animation. They have animation in it. That is a generous term, but they have animation.
Listen, Brynn, the We only talk about animation that we like on this podcast.
I don't know, Kelly. You'll have to watch Birdemic and tell me what you think of it before you diss it.
Fair. You just served that up right back at me. Okay.
But you have to watch it with the riff tracks or else you're not going to be able to get through it.
Fair. Oh, man. So, of course, Sechrist kind of worked halftime on that and halftime on the comic. And he was producing it. Peter Gall, as I said, saw it online, reached out to Rad, and was like, the way that Sechrist explained it when he was in the interview was that Gall had said, if you had come to me and pitched an idea for a post-apocalyptic setting, I would have said no immediately without even looking at it. But the way Sechrist had drawn it, like, really, like, connected with Gall, and so he was willing to look at it, which I think is a fascinating proof of do the work that you wish you could be doing, like create, like, you can't just have this idea in your head and hope that someone will, like, give you the money to create it. Just you have to create what you would want to sell, basically.
Isn't that why Owl House exists at all right now? Because the creator's roommate was like, oh, that idea will never work, and she was like, I'm gonna do it. And so she actually made Owl House to spite her roommate, and now it's on it's not on Disney Plus. It's on the Disney Channel or something like that. But I've heard amazing things about it.
I don't know as much about the Owl House, and I see enough of it on Instagram and like enough of the stuff on Instagram that I should be watching this show.
We should watch it.
It's on my ever-growing, never-ending list of things that I need to watch. So yes, I would agree. So in the comic for Kipo, it was actually much darker. A lot of things were different, but Scarlemagne was a human, actually, and was a cannibal. And it's just about these humans surviving in this post-apocalyptic setting. He was very inspired by Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and of course How to Train Your Dragon 2, which he was working on at the time, which was inspiration for some of the mutes, actually, when they eventually added the mutes into the story, because he was drawing all these large giant dragons, and then he's kind of using that inspiration to make the mega mutes and all of that, which is absolutely fascinating. The location of Kipo is inspired by Los Angeles. Even some of the very specific locales that they're in throughout the show are inspired by specific places on the east side of Los Angeles, which is awesome. So yeah, Sechrist had a lot of inspirations, and obviously the show changed drastically between comic and then television show, because with turning it to a television show, you're obviously working with lots of people, and they help shape the narrative and create something new. The mutes, so that was kind of new for the show. Also, Kipo being a half mute was specifically for the show. They were kind of like, we need our protagonist to have something special about her. Like, originally they were all just normal humans going about their normal survival in a post-apocalyptic world, but this is
well, you need something to make Harry Potter special.
Exactly. This is Hollywood. They need something. They needed something more. So, but I'm not complaining. The Jaguar kind of thing is great.
It is, and she really is the chosen one. Like, that's what this is. She's the chosen one.
I will say that she definitely takes the whole, my parents mutated me on purpose in order to save everybody. Like, she takes that really well. I would have been pissed.
She takes it like a champ.
I would have been like, okay, bye.
Yeah. I wonder if that's going to come in season 3 as a delayed response of like, what the heck, guys?
I don't think so, because remember, Kipo is the character that never changes.
But, like, she made a little yeah, probably. But still, things could change. Maybe.
All right. I also want to mention just that, yeah, all of these different mutes and groups of characters that the gang meets, you've got, The Timber Cats are my personal favorite.
I love the Timber Cats. They're so good.
So good. I mean, a whole bunch of sentient cats who are lumberjacks, and it's adorable. It's adorable. And they love waffles and flapjacks or what have you. So
because
perfect.
They can.
Because why not?
Because why not?
And I love, too, that all of the different groups have their own musical style. So you're hearing different types of music depending on where you're at in the world.
And the snakes are like the like hard rockers.
Yes.
Why? I don't know, but they are. It's hilarious.
How do they play the guitar? Don't ask me.
I really hope that Kipo gets the numbers that they need to make another show like this. Maybe not. Maybe in the same world, maybe not. But I need this representation. It's like water. I need all of this amazing diversity. That's all I got to say.
Absolutely. This show is remarkable in so many ways, but its representation is definitely really, really high up there.
On point. Yeah.
Really on point. So, again, it's available on Netflix. And
go watch it if you haven't.
Yeah.
Even though we spoiled things for you, like, it's so worth the journey. There's so much that we didn't even touch on.
There's so much, and it's hilarious. You're just gonna
it's so good.
You're just gonna laugh at everything that Dave says. It's brilliant.
It really is. That's all I got to say for that. What about you, Kelly?
You got to watch it before you have an opinion on it.
That's fair. Yeah, Kelly. Yeah, Kelly.
So thank you so much, Brynn, for joining me. We're going to go record our What You Watching episode for the week.
Yeah, we are.
So definitely check that out on Friday. And go watch Kipo in the meantime.
And as always, Black Lives Matter.
Thanks so much for listening. Remember that you can get an exclusive new Fanimated sticker and vote for upcoming episode topics by going to patreon.com/Fanimated. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Fanimated Podcast to stay up to date with all things animated. And don't forget to leave a rating and review telling us what you'd like us to watch next. The music is provided by Purple Planet Music and the art is done by myself. You can find me on Instagram at CandorDraw. That's KANDERDRAW. Thank you so much to Brynn for geeking out with me today, and we'll talk to you all on Friday about a whole bunch of shows we're watching. So stay tuned and stay animated.
Yeah, but Kelly, you're going to have to watch Birdemic with me now.
Oh, dear.
What? That wasn't an evil cackle. I don't know what you're talking about. I'll watch Boss Baby with you, though.
I would rather we watch something else. Listen, I'm not going to go so far as to say I want to watch it with my limited time with you. I want to watch Boss Baby. We're getting off topic.